Hey, Coach.
Bobby, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, good to see you. Congratulations on the. I knew you were going to leave us sooner or later,
Uh,
but congratulations on the head coaching job. How's it been going so far?
Thanks, man. It's tremendous. I mean, obviously, the opportunities that are here in Vegas are off the charts. The support administratively have been tremendous, and a lot of great things that are going to happen.
I feel like
Yeah,
I can ask real dumb guy questions in an interview setting that I wouldn't ask you in person because I don't want to seem dumb. But you being a brilliant defensive mind, but as a head coach, do you go take like offense classes or something? How do you know offensively what you even want?
it's amazing that on when the offense is on the field, on the plays that we score touchdowns, I called those. So it's pretty easy. The ones that we score on, I was in charge of that. But you want to find the right fit for your team and your program, but also you're looking at how to play complementary football. And then you look at, Bobby, for me, I've always looked, in the position when I was a head coach at Missouri, I looked at, what are the things that affect me trying to game plan, what is really hard from a defensive lens. Those are some of the things that I want to try to incorporate on offense. So really excited about the staff that we've been able to put together. And the thing that I've learned, you always learn from your experiences. The look at how we've built the staff, how we've had a chance to do that, and then how we're going to implement offense, defense, and kicking will give us the best chance to be successful. So I'm sure excited about it. I know that if you got a chance to hire really good people, let them do your job, do their job, support them in the ways you can, build them up, and then get out of the way.
Being a former defensive player in Division One in Missouri, being a former head coach but defensive coordinator, do you look for an offense that maybe like would a defensive coach get a spread offense that runs no huddle because the defense stays on the field a lot? In those with those offenses that are quick, do you look for an offense that maybe is on the field a little more to rest the defensive guys since that is your specialty?
I think the number one thing is can you play complementary football, and then can they score points? What does that look like? Do they have the opportunity? If you're playing with a tempo, as long I don't care if it's a 7-second drive or a 5.5 minute drive, if it ends up in points, that we'll take that every single time. So I think there's elements of how you play the game offensively. Not always as fast as you can go. There's times that you huddle, there's times that you do things, but also what's the flow of the game? I mean, how's that looking? Does the defense need a little bit of a break? Or do we have their defense on their heels, so to speak, on how we're playing offensively? So a lot of those things go into not only schematically how you build it on offense, but also in-game adjustments and the management of what that looks like.
According to some folks that I know and trust, you have been pursued for many things over the past few years. And, for you to go to UNLV, a great get by that program. But how does that conversation start? And it doesn't have to be with this specific incident, but let's just say a coordinator somewhere in a school. Does a school go to an agent or do you get a text from somebody? When they want to hire you, what happens?
Yeah, I think every administration team handles it a little bit differently. A lot of times there's a search firm that handles the search in conjunction with the athletics director. There's a team on campus with the administrative team that they put together what they want the search to look like. And then there's other times that the athletic director is just going to reach out specifically and individually. And I've, over the course of the last 20 years, all three of those have been real for me on how it looks. Each one's a little bit different. I think an athletics director will always, just like I do as a head coach, I always keep a list of who I would like to try to hire as an offensive coordinator. Same thing on the defensive side on every position, because if you plan accordingly, just like we had here, I got the job, hired an offensive coordinator, and 12 days later he left and took another job at Texas A&M. So okay, you better be prepared and have plan A, and then who's available and who's ready after that to be able to fit to your program. So I think each administrator, each athletics director, each president on the administrative team, they handle it and what their comfort level is. And I've encountered really all of them, Bobby, in the last few years.
When you step into a new program, obviously they're not satisfied with how the program was being ran or what they've accomplished, or they wouldn't have hired a new coach. What's the first thing that you do when you step into a new program?
Well, the opportunity, fortunately for me, when I got the job, the existing team was still here. They were getting ready to start taking finals. So we had a press conference at 1:30 at 3 o'clock that afternoon. I met with the team, and I thought that was important to have a chance to visually see them and give them a message. And then for the next 3 to 4 days, I just set up individual meetings with them before they got off campus, and we had, some of them were 15 minutes, some of them were 30 minutes, but you wanted to start building the foundation of the relationship on what that looks like. And that was my biggest part of making sure that I got a chance to face-to-face meet with the individual players, give them faith, give them hope, give them vision, give them belief on how this is going to start to play out, because they were about to start taking finals and then get off campus for Christmas break and the holiday break. So I knew I had a short window of time to at least get in front of them. So I did that. And then, in the late hours of the day, I would end up starting making calls on building the staff, recruiting, putting the board together.
Whenever you move to the job, because again, it's so much from recruiting your own players to stay to going and trying to recruit players to come in. When you move, do you just go live in an apartment and your whole family just like comes later and you find a house? What happens there? Like the real life part of that?
What an interesting dynamic. And I'm so fortunate because my wife, we met in college and we've been married 22 years. And every move that we've made is usually it's been a positive one. It's been a good one. But it's hard on families. It is. And I've got a son, JT, that's a senior in high school. I've got a son that's a sophomore in high school. Garrett is his name. And then I've got a daughter, Anna, that's in the second grade. So we've got about every age range you could have still in school. So we're managing what that looks like. My oldest son, my wife, and my daughter will stay in Northwest Arkansas and finish school because he wants to graduate with his senior class, and I'm excited that that's going to happen. And then my youngest, my middle son, he'll come out and start living with me here in the next few weeks just to get started in his new school here. So it's different. It's hard. It's difficult. So I've been staying in a hotel. We just ended up getting a short-term condo that I'll move into probably next week. And then in all this, we'll find a permanent home and make it work.
Do they give you unlimited room service? Is there a tab that you can only run up to, or can you just get whatever you want?
Bobby, I'm telling you, I'm walking through the place that I'm staying at now. It's such a wonderful place, but there's a casino in the lobby, obviously, and I walk through every day with blinders. I'm not chasing the bright lights. I got to go to work. So there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of things here that that are here. I mean, there's one Vegas in the world, and I'm so excited to be here.
We are. Our show is really big in Vegas and all the Southwest, and I tour through there a lot. And I know why I enjoy Vegas, different than why most people, because I don't drink or I don't party like that, but I do like Vegas because of the atmosphere. I can go do shows. I just played a show at the Wynn pretty recently. That for me is Vegas. Like Eddie may go and he likes to drink and have fun and gamble, but what do you tell a recruit? Like, what's the pitch for UNLV and Las Vegas, because it is so different than any other part of the country?
Yeah, there's everywhere that we've lived. And I want to go back real quick to our time that we spent in Arkansas. I mean, that has been for myself, working for Coach Pittman and Hunter Yurachek, and the way that program and athletics department was unbelievable. We loved it. I mean, it's been my favorite place that we've ever lived, and my family's. The Razorback Nation was tremendous, and so every college town is different, right? Fayetteville's got their things that are a selling point. It was at University of Memphis, they did as well. And then obviously being here, you've got this city was built on opportunity. And that is some of the same approach that I'm taking to build this football program. It's a student population of 32,000 students in a wonderful market that has tremendous opportunity. So the ability to compete and play for championships, we're going to do that. Any goal that you have as a student athlete, we're going to accomplish here as there 3, 4 to 5 years of what that looks like. The opportunities to make connections that I think is so important for me to be able to do as the leader of this program. I've got an investment for these young men that I have a chance to coach for the next 40 years of their life. So those are all things from a true relationship part of how you build things. it doesn't matter, in my opinion, whether you're in Las Vegas or Fayetteville or Columbia, Missouri, or wherever that is. You've got core foundations on how you're going to build your program. But then you look at the opportunities that are here in Las Vegas, the opportunities in the Mountain West Conference, the opportunities that we got to step in and play immediately, the opportunity to play in Allegiant Stadium, that's one of the finest facilities in all of sport. That's our home. So there's so many things that we have the ability that are real. You don't have to talk about, well, someday we're going to build this facility. There's things once they get here that they see in their own lens and their own scope on how they see that they could fit here.
Being such a great athlete through high school, through college, and then coaching, you hit a bunch of people, you got hit a bunch. And, my athletic career, not as good as yours, obviously. I just played high school ball, but I have injuries that when it gets cold, it hurts again. First of all, when you're living in Arkansas or Missouri and the weather would turn to winter, would your body hurt like crazy? Second of all, now that you're in Vegas, maybe you don't have to worry about that anymore. That'd be awesome.
It's amazing. I don't feel, I'm blessed. I don't feel any different than I did right now than when I graduated college. I mean, I know I've aged, I get all that, but I feel no different. I do know, I'm looking at my office right now and there's probably 75 palm trees and the sun's out and it's going to be a beautiful day. So it's all perspective on what you look at, what you see, and how you approach it. But there's a great opportunity here that the weather's going to be extremely nice most months out of the year.
You're a leader of men, and you're telling these guys they need to work hard to do certain things. They need to be dedicated. Do you feel that same thing about yourself, even in staying in shape or looking the part? Because it's hard to be a leader if you don't actually do it yourself.
Well, I think, number one, I think being a college coach, it probably keeps you a little bit younger than if I weren't in this business. Also, Bobby, chasing around a 7-year-old girl, our daughter in our house, has kept me extremely young. So I think there's part of that. I mean, you've got the grind if you do it the right way, the grind of the job. There's a lot of hours in the day that you're working. So how do you maintain the ability to stay sharp, and how do you maintain the ability to be able to do the things you need to for this job? I think all of our you're facing things as in your job. You've got to stay fit. You've got to stay active. You've got to stay in a position that you can sell the vision on what you want that to look like. And hopefully I feel this way for a long, long time, because I feel no difference than I did when I was 24 years old.
Why does he keep telling us he feels great and we don't? Like, Coach Odom, I'm the same as I was at 22. Dang, why you gotta keep rubbing it in, Coach? I'm over here hurting. I got all these stupid injuries. I got just a couple more questions for you, Coach. The final two from me, then I'm going to go over to Eddie and to Kevin. But what have you learned in your last couple of stops at Arkansas and Missouri that you take into this going, I'm going to approach this slightly different because I've been through different things?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I've always been able to learn from experiences. You learn from successes, you learn from setbacks, you learn from the different situations that you've been in. There's no head coach's manual that, hey, you've got this issue, turn to page 7 and here's the answer. You learn by doing, and to me, the experience factor is invaluable on having a chance to be in the head coaching chair again. I think number one, it all starts with the people that you've got in the organization, the ability to in every day over communicate on the vision, work well together with that group, to put in place how you want things to go. The successes are going to follow, but there's got to be a blueprint on how you do that. The consistency of what that looks like, that's something that I think as you gain experience, that's really important to me. There's also the ability, when I became the head coach at Missouri, I tried to be the defensive coordinator, the director of marketing, the director of recruiting, the director of equipment operations. I tried to do it all. And, when I really probably had really good people in place, let them do their job. And so those are things that people won't admit when you end up, having a change of jobs. But you do self-evaluation, you lose the ego part of it, and you find out what's best for this job, what's best for this organization, and then you go implement it. And that's something that I feel really fortunate about, that we've got really good people in the right spots. and I'm at ease and a great comfort level in letting them do their job, and I will support in every way.
What needs to happen with the situation with the NCAA and the players with poaching? You know, I've talked to a couple coaches on this show where they talk about other schools just calling them, being like, hey, you want to come over here? What needs to happen?
Well, I think if we really want it to change, then there's going to have to be an example made of what that looks like. And if there is tampering, then there should be a penalty for it. And there is, there is a penalty, but there better be action. Okay, you can't just talk about you're going to do it and then not do it. So, our game is going to go through, and we'll continue to go through it as always. It's just everything is so different now with transfer, with portal, with all those things. The education piece is really important, number one. And then number two, if a rule is written and that's what it is, then we need to live by it. And if not, then there needs to be something done about it. And I would imagine that the NCAA will take a hard look at that and probably adjust what the rule is now, and it'll look different 3 years from now on the current state of college football.
Yeah, death penalty. That's what I say. And not the one where they just cancel a program, they kill them. That's what I say. That's my version of the death penalty. All right, last two. Eddie, go ahead for Coach Odom.
Coach, I have a 3-year-old son, and he's just athletically, he's just naturally gifted. He can do whatever. He can throw the football really well, catch the football great. He dribbles the basketball. He's 3 years old. I took him to a practice that I take my other kids to, and the coach says, how old is that boy? He's 3 years old. Oh my gosh. Like, we need to get him in practice now. We need to get this working on this kid now. So my question for you is, how early do you start seeing, like, hey, this kid has hands? Like, I need to write this down. Do you have a list that you keep track of like, I saw a kid back in, 5 years ago. I'm going to keep my eye on him.
What's your son's name?
We'll talk after, Coach.
Hey, I want to offer him a scholarship to UNLV. So we got to get out on a visit. I think, the world of recruiting has changed, and it's in fast forward on what it was a few years ago, but you're always evaluating. I'm not saying I'm evaluating a 3-year-old, but you come across, and it's all still built around relationships. You have somebody that I went to high school with, or somebody that you coached with years ago that saw someone at an AAU tournament, basketball tournament, and they pass on the name. So you're always compiling lists. You're trying to evaluate, and you're looking at from an early age. One thing I do want to say with that, though, Bobby and Eddie, is, I wish we could get back a little bit to kids in high school playing multiple sports, because that's so important. I mean, the sports specialization at an early age, I think that takes away from athletic development. I think it takes away from some of the things that kids only get a short window of time on being able to participate in. We don't have to play baseball 12 months out of the year. You don't have to be a quarterback training quarterback. You don't have to be in 12-month training. There's parts of that are important, but also there's value in being a multi-sport guy.
Kevin, final question for Coach Odom.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, I've always wondered, a new coach going into a program and taking a team, guys full of scholarships, walk-ons, whatever it is, and you need to come in and evaluate, okay, are we going to keep some guys, let some guys go, whatever it may be. I almost imagine it like making cuts in the NFL. And I always wonder what that process is like for you coming into a new program. Hey, do you watch a bunch of film on guys individually, team-wise, and then what those conversations are like with those guys or the team?
Yeah, my number one, and every coach handles it differently. Mine, for me in this program, I challenged the team on the first team meeting that I had. I wanted everybody in the room, okay? I wanted everybody in that room to be here when we start back in January. I think that's important. They are the core of what we're building. We'll get into off-season conditioning. We'll get into spring practice. We'll get into summer conditioning. There will be some attrition that happens across the board in college football, but I want all those guys that are here. They've committed to UNLV. I want them to be part of this. And I also told them if they'll stick with it and they'll do the things that we're talking about doing, it'll be the most rewarding experience that they've ever had athletically. And that's important for me. They're here. I'm their coach now. I chose them. I want them to stay with us in this program.
Coach, appreciate you. We're out in Vegas a lot. I'm going to come. I assume I can come and work out. I'm always looking for a gym. I'm assuming I can come and work out in the facility since I know a guy, right?
You know a guy, I'll give you the keys. I'll give you the play sheet. You can call the first play of the game. Don't care.
We're going to come. Coach, I'm going to come out. I'm going to go to a game. I'm rooting for you, man. I am just a massive fan of you, and how you run operations, and just rooting for UNLV next season. And we have room here for another helmet. If you
I'm going to get you a helmet. What version you want? You want scarlet? You want gray? Do you want white?
Whatever one you want featured, because millions of people watch these videos every month. So the version you think looks the best. Oh, he's reaching back. Oh, he's going.
He's already going.
Okay, that's a pretty sick
Wow.
helmet. We'll put it up here, Coach. Hey, look, as a guy, love you, rooting for you. As a coach, we will be following you all year long next year, Coach. So good luck, and I know you got a big task ahead of you.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob. Much respect for you, man.
Thanks,
Y'all take
Coach.
care.
See you later.